Y'all, my lovelies, I was thinking this morning about, this is something my boyfriend said in a kind of a weird context at a cocktail party. And I think he was talking about me. He was in a conversation with another man, and I didn't really hear the context. They were having some kind of bro moment, and he said, "Kiss the frog," to the other guy. "Kiss the frog." And I think in that context, I was the frog. I was the relationship that didn't seem, I don't know, it seemed sort of off or taboo, or the guy he was talking to was scared of relationships in general. You know, maybe he found out we were going to get married and he said I could never do that. And my intended said, "Kiss the frog." I mean, I really don't know the context. But I got thinking about it this morning, and, you know, I felt when he said that very moved. It's that fairy tale where the princess is looking for her prince. And this, every morning, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, is it this one? Every morning, this frog appeared by her bed. And I think it was a talking frog, and it said, you know, "I love you," you know. And she said, "Yeah, you're a frog, go away," you know, warts and all, ew. And the frog kept reappearing. And finally somebody told her, some wise woman or you'll have to look it up, I don't remember. But basically the message was, kiss the frog. You want your prince? Kiss the frog. You know, and she did, and poof, turned into this, you know, the handsome man that a lot of people who listen to tarot are looking for. This one? And there's something in that, you know, that love doesn't always appear, you know, in the guise of the prince. It may not be the person anybody was looking for. It may be somebody that, oh no, not that one. I want a prince. This is what a prince is. And I think it's also the transformational power of love. You know, in a way, we're all the frog. And when we get the kiss, you know, we somebody sees us. I don't know. But anyway, that's the deal. Kiss the frog. The other thing I had written down was blaze marks. If you're on a trail in the woods, so that you don't get lost, the person who came before you leaves blazes, which are just marks on the tree that show you this is the path. So you'll know, don't deviate off this way, straight ahead, or do deviate that way. That's the way out of the forest. That's the trail. That's where you're supposed to go. So I think that there are, you know, somebody said, had a marvelous comment. It was about yesterday's reading, and, you know, very moving to me, all about Indra's net, and there were a lot of synchronicities for her in that reading. And I think that synchronicities, you know, when we're thinking about something and boom, they show up at the door, or, you know, we read a passage in a book and suddenly we hear the same thing quoted by somebody else, or, those kind of things where timelines seem to cross in an unexpected way. And I think that those synchronicities are like blaze marks. They're a sign that you're on the right path. Blazing a trail, that expression, means going ahead, finding your way, and leaving a mark so that the person who comes behind you knows the path. You're blazing the trail. And I think we're trailblazers. That's trailblazers. Trailblazers. Kiss the frog. Ace of Swords, and I saw the card underneath, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. It was the moon. And I saw the next card, and that was in my head this morning, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. Eight of Wands. This is the mind getting a message. It's coming right in, almost like a main line to your brain. And you can see this person is in a kind of passive mode. They have their eyes shut. They're not going in search of the answer's going in search of them. It's air energy, sword energy. It's about thought and understanding. And there's something here about the fractal. It's a staircase, but it also looks like conch shell, not a conch shell, can't remember the name. There's a shell where it builds over time. It gets another ring. It's a fractal. So there's something about this person when they stop looking so hard for the answer, it comes in like a beam of light, a trailblaze. I'm a little slow sometimes, but that's the and aces can speak to the personal. It's like, I get it. I get it with my everyday thinking mind, and I get it with my unconscious mind as well. Moon card, card of divine feminine. Submerging in water energy. Submerging in feelings. There's the moon up above. It's a card of Cancer. It's kind of the landscape of the mystery. And I was also thinking this morning about, the earliest prehistoric representations of the divine. These little statues were of women. Women with big breasts, women with big tummies, pregnant, ready to feed. And in their hand usually is a crescent moon. The crescent moon, feminine energy. That was a mystery to people. The cycles of women, their bodily cycles, their moon energy. And what I thought of this morning with Ace of Wands, wands are about doing something. So I think there are all these possible, they're also directional, possible ways to go. Lighting the path, trailblazing. But the landscape that we're trying to traverse, or somebody is the unconscious mind. Something that's coming to consciousness and not quite there yet. It's rising to the surface. Intuitive, feminine energy. That's something a little bit beyond the thinking mind. This could also be like demands from the outside world, from 3D life. Wands are about doing things. It's sort of like, do this, do that, do the other. How do we know which way to go? How do we prioritize? We follow a path. The path that... I think you're the trailblazer, frankly, I do. You've kind of plumbed the depths and come away with some sort of clarity or answer. Under Ace of Swords, Eight of Swords. I also was thinking about this card this morning, as you know, I am wont to do. I sit in meditation, and sometimes these things pop up. And this morning I got a kind of body dysmorphia. It's a thing when you look in a mirror and you see something that isn't you. You see a distorted image of yourself. You see some kind of ugliness that, is not there. It's a projection of a part of your brain. Something that traps you. Some idea of yourself. Sword energy that keeps you stuck somehow. Eight of Swords in Rider-Waite shows a woman blindfolded, bound up, and in a cage of swords. Sword energy, the way they think about themselves, the way they see themselves, sword attributes, air sign attributes. How we see, how we think. Somebody has blazed a trail out of this bind. And, this might be how you think about yourself, the Ace card. And there's an element of, thinking badly about yourself or actually looking in the mirror. As we age, we look in the mirror and there's almost I don't really have this anymore, but there was a time when I did. I don't recognize myself. That's a kind of body dysmorphia, and it binds you up. 2 8s on the board is 16, which I think is moon. And I don't have my glasses on, so I can't double check myself. Let's see. 16 is Tower. Is Tower, not moon. So Tower is a deconstruction. Something stable, or it can be an epiphany, like this is the way somebody thinks they are. They think they're trapped, perhaps in their body. Some kind of bad mental state that makes them think, sword energy, I am, stuck. And then the light beam comes in. The light comes in. 8 of Wands, fire energy. And it's it's what do I need to do, perhaps, to get out of this? Look for the blaze. And I guess it's more intuitive than anything else. It's that feminine energy, cyclical energy, of the Earth Mother holding it's Empress energy, holding a crescent, which is actually usually like an animal horn, which is what this looks like a little bit. The crescent moon. Where are we? We're just coming out of new moon. Just coming out of new moon. New moons are about setting intention. Going forward, what am I going to do? One's energy, what am I going to do? that empowers me. Which path, directional, which path. And then there's this, I can't get there from here. Three of Wands. Again, in fire energy, and it's sort of in anticipation. This person has a surfboard, sort of like waiting for the wave, perhaps waiting for the wave, the frequency. Tapping into the intuitive. Waiting to see the light. Where is this path going to take me? If I can break out of this, kind of, what next? It's a card of the future. What do I do, Wands energy, next? And waiting for perhaps the right moment. And in this, it shows this person is standing between two wands. There's a third wand down here. Two of Wands is a portal. This is sort of like poised. Not passing through the portal yet. Kind of entering it a bit. The surfboard, what looks to be the surfboard, is poking through the portal. The way out. Okay, tell us about this Eight of Wands. These all are pointing to something. They're converging at a point. There's kind of a combustion point. And that tower energy implicit in 8 and 8. I don't know why. I thought it was Moon. Moon is 18. 10 of Pentacles. That's kind of the card of home. Of something welcoming. The way home. There's something out of... This is a card to me of solitude as well. It's a person with themselves. A kind of hall of mirrors, of some sort of dysmorphia. What you see upon reflection is not the real McCoy. Pentacles energy, real, substantial. It's kind of a feeling of belonging. Okay. Is it this? On Eight of Swords, Chariot. From the card of the trap, the mental trap, Eight of Swords. Major Arcana card of forward movement. This is like tapping into the deep core self. Out of the head, into the heart, Cancer energy, water energy. Flow. Moving forward. There's an impulse in the psyche to go. In a balanced emotional way. This is not emotional balance. This is up in the head, something that keeps you stuck. And then there's a liberation. The feelings get liberated somehow. The feelings, Moon energy. Also a card of Cancer, Cancer Pisces. Something coming to consciousness. And it's the willingness, I think, to accept what's rising up, Because this can be a card of fear. I don't know. I don't know. It's the mystery. It can be a card of secrets, something we've repressed. But a part of ourselves knows, intuits. And there's something about, Moon card can be a card of divine feminine, that cyclical energy we were talking about. Some people are afraid of intuition. It can be a card of fear, afraid of feminine. Of where that will lead us if we give into it. There may be something like the mind wants to stay in the cage. It's safer there. But the heart wants to move. This sort of superficial 3D mind, that minor arcana, 8 of Swords. But on the deepest level, there's an impulse to move, driven by deep feelings. Deep feelings. Let them come up. Somebody's really repressed held it down, held it underwater, didn't want to come to consciousness. Why the resistance? Because 10 of Pentacles is really a card of connection, a card of love and feelings. Cancer energy. A lot of water energy here. Water energy is about connectivity, which sounds, that's not really the right word, but connection. Let's just say about connection. And this is all about connection. Some long-term relationship or relationships that make us happy, that make us feel like we belong. Page of Swords. More sword energy, but it's a card of discovery and curiosity. Let me look into that. This is looking into it and seeing something that's not real. And the answer may come in a time when the conscious mind kind of loosens its grip, that 8 of Swords bind. Maybe in the form of a dream. Something that lets the intuition, Wands energy are intuitive. The intuition sparks some kind of new idea. Something that lets the light in. So, Page of Swords, a card of the student. It's like something that breaches the gap, an idea that breaches the gap. This person is traversing this. There's something that perhaps they've learned, and it may be principally, it can be a lesson card. I see the way now. And again, it's sword energy, and its best expression is like clarity, understanding. And in that synchronous business, it may be something, remember, didn't I say something you've read? Or something you read, a passage that you read, or something that somebody says or expresses? Lights the path, lights the way, gives you a new understanding. Tell us about Ace of Swords, please. Around this fractal, it's almost like the moon brain. There are all these little rune signs, mathematical symbols, and It's a way of understanding some kind of code. Some kind of code on Ace of Swords. How to be happy. Nine of Cups. A card of release, just like this. Emotional release. In Cups energy, look at this. All the cups in the air. And it's almost like this is like a treasure box down in the corner. You know, the gift from the heart. Something that's been repressed, because the treasure box is open now. All the cups fly out. The cups fly out. Water energy just flow. Slipstream. Which, you know, to my mind is being in the current. It's a bit of a loss of control, because this is overthinking. It can be sort of like over-controlling. Your mind, what is that thing about your mind is a good servant, but a ruthless master? That's not right, but there's something like that. You can't maybe think your way forward, but in this instance, you feel your way forward from your deepest core self. There's this liberation. It's personal. Nine of Cups. It's happiness and flow and love. It has something to do with kissing the frog. And maybe in that sense of, you know, if you're not comfortable in your body, if you're up in your head, you have a bad idea of yourself. Nine card of the self. Something's happened that liberates happiness, that allows you to feel again. Feelings coming to the surface. Intuition getting reignited. And I don't know quite what the Tower moment is, but I suspect it's this. Because in Eight of Swords in Major Arcana, like I said, was that mental cage. And the Tower is a constricted, emotional, I see it as a card of Scorpio, emotional energy, emotions that have been pent up and maybe repressed. Can you tell us about Tower, Eight of Wands? There's somebody at the door, and I'm just going to finish the reading now, because we're almost there anyways. There's that Two of Wands path. Which way do I go? I'm looking for the blaze. You know, somebody has come before me, because I'm a student. I have beginner's mind. I'm willing to look and see, which way do I go? Poised at the portal. Three of Wands. Lovers. Sword energy. A lack of clarity, a lack of understanding, a bad feeling about yourself. And here's a card of completion. It's also choice, like Two of Wands. Which way do I go? This is a card of yin yang. You know, of the liberating relationship where you accept your whole self, which allows you to accept the other. You know, emotionally, because you recognize each other. You recognize as well your full self. It's not this sword energy. It's that kind of relationship with yourself and with somebody else. Okay, one more. Eight of Cups. I'm almost there. Eight of Cups shows love on the move. You know, love on the move. Something coming to the surface. Something lighting the love path. You know, we're going to move forward. It'd be good to know which way to go. We have on the board Cancer twice, Gemini in the Lovers, and that's it. Eight of Cups, Nine of Cups, moving toward this. Trailblazing. Kiss the frog. Kiss the frog. It's a choice. Okay, I don't know quite what I've said, but maybe it resonates with some of you. I hope so. It's a good reading. Chariot, Lovers, emotional balance, yin yang, pulling in the same direction. Blessings, my friends, and I'll see you next time.